I can't believe we haven't got any more Doctor Who now until Christmas, Crispy. You know, I got so used to it. I got used to a certain way, and now it's gone. I'm going to miss it.
Oh, you know what? It's better we get it at Christmas than New Year's Day. That's when we got our specials in the Chibnall era, right?
That does bring a good question up, Crispy. Do you miss Chris Chibnall?
I don't know. Do you miss Chris Chibnall?
I don't know. Do our listeners think they miss Chris Chibnall? Let's find out. Roll the intro. Hello and welcome back to Who's There, a Doctor Who podcast. My name is Troy, his name is the Donut Lord, and we're the hotline that accepts your calls throughout all of time and space. And today, we're discussing Chris Chibnall, the man who wrote Broadchurch, the man who wrote other shows that you've probably heard of, but he did several series of Doctor Who recently. You might not remember, you might do, who knows. But now that we've had a whole series with Russell T Davies back at the helm, we thought it'd be interesting to ask you guys if you miss him, if you miss his show-running style, if you miss his writing, if you miss anything in between. Crispy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. And thank you for using my real name, the Donut Lord, because these donuts are now a week old.
They really, really are, aren't they just? Look at those eyes that really persuade, and his different T-shirt that really, really insinuates we recorded this on a different day. Even though I'm still wearing the same Avril Lavigne T-shirt, so I'm putting a hole in your plan there. But a hole like in your donut. A donut hole, you might say.
Very good. Very good.
I can't believe we made a Sonic movie reference a minute into this episode. Anyway, we're here to talk about Chris Chibbers. Chris Chibnall. Chris Chibnall. How many different ways can we say Chris Chibnall?
Chris Chibnall.
Cristofani Chibnall is the Italian accent.
You know? It's Chrissy Chibs.
I think we should just take a caller, don't you?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, everyone. We're just asking you, do you miss Chris Chibnall?
I want to see if there's people that miss his show-running style. I'm very interested to see if there are, because, you know, his era is more bashed on than others, and both Crispy and I are Chibnall enjoyers. And I want to see if people miss his show-running style. And maybe later on we'll discuss whether we miss him. Yeah,
well, I think, Troy and I can admit there are flaws, but, you know, there are a lot of people out there that do not like this era. I enjoy the era. Whatever.
Don't be ridiculous. The era's perfect. There's no flaws to it.
Well,
we're going to go with might be a new user. I don't recognise the name. If not, they're not called much. But we're going to go with Oliver's Kais, or maybe it's pronounced differently. But it's Oliver's, so I don't know. Oliver, I don't know. Crispy, help me here.
I think it's Oliver. Just say hi, Oliver.
Hi, Oliver.
Hello.
What have you got to say about Chibnall?
Hey, kids. I just woke up, and now. Do I think that the Chibmeister had some good stuff? For sure. Would he have ever written Rogue, or Dot and Bubble, or Chibi Goes to Town? I think that was one of the episodes. No. Those are RTD specials. Worth it, in my opinion. Top tier Sorry for the swearing.
I love that. I
offered to edit this one, and I'm already having to cut out a swear. Well done.
That's funny. That's funny.
You wake up, and then you call in sleepy, and you swear. Do you know what? Never using your calls. I'm joking.
Did you mark
makes a really good point.
Did you mark it?
I did not mark it. Marked it. I marked it. What does that mean? What does that do, Chris?
Oh, it just makes it easier to edit. You can go and see on the timeline if there's anything in particular of note.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a little editing hack. Yeah, you can mark the... Anyway, this is not interesting for the listener at all.
No, it is. It is, because they get to find out how Who's There is made. But
how the cookie crumbles.
Really good point. As a writer, Chibnall's never had, unless you can correct me here, a real, like, top-tier peak story like Heaven Sent or something. What would you say? Where he's written it solely on his own. Because Future of the Jadoon is very, very good. But that was a joint written one. So a solely Chris Chibnall written story.
Yeah, well, look, I think I can try and make an argument as to what I think his best script is, but I don't know if it's of the same caliber as, some of this. It's just very different, isn't it? It's very different show running style. I think the main critique is the dialogue. I don't think the ideas are bad, really, but I think sometimes the dialogue is just far too literal, which is strange because he wrote one of my other favorite TV shows ever, which was Broadchurch. I adored Broadchurch in its entirety. Some people don't like Series 2, Series 3. I enjoyed the whole thing. I thought it was really well done, really good twists, and really good character work. So I think I kind of expected more from Chibnall, but maybe he kind of wrote it as more of a family show, a kid show, and kind of threw in that kind of stuff. But I'm just rambling here. To answer your question, no, I don't think he has one. While you make your arguments, I'm going to look up what the highest rated Chris Chibnall episode is on IMDb.
You do that. Well, I would actually say, because as I said, there's some good stories in his era, some really standout ones, like Haunting of Villa Diodati, like Village of the Angels, like Fugitive to Jadoon, but those episodes are either not written by him or only partially written by him. So, like, talking objectively solo for him, what I would say is actually, ironically, his first and last episodes are probably his strongest offerings. I love The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I've raved about that all day. I love it. It's a great Doctor Who episode as a debut for a Doctor, and The Power of the Doctor is a fantastic finale for Jodie's Doctor. So I think he's written a really good opening and conclusion. I don't know. He's not necessarily written bad episodes in between, but more so just that nothing really gets the heights of, like, your Stolen Earth or your Heaven Sense or things like that. I don't personally think.
Agreed. Okay, so I've done some digging, my friend.
What have you found?
As you said, we can't count Village of the Angels, can we?
No.
Because that comes in at a whopping 7.8 out of 10.
That should be higher.
I know it should be, but people this is IMDb, so people review bombs, so it's kind of hard to get a gist.
Yeah.
And then we can't count Fugitive of the Jadoon, which comes in at a 7.4. So, I'm scrolling, they're throwing in Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, 42. These are not the episodes I'm after. We can't have War of the Sontarans? Can we?
That
was co-written, I think. Was that one co-written? Or was that just Chibbers?
Google.
Oh, I'm interested.
Written by just Chris Chibnall.
Oh, ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Wowee. Would you think
that is a great episode? So yeah, I'll give him credit.
It's a banging episode, but I honestly think that Woman Who Fell to Earth is my favorite Chris Chibnall bit of media. That episode has a certain spice about it, a certain flavor. I'm like, if that episode was the whole era, then I'm in. But I've made the case so many times that The Woman Who Fell to Earth set up an era that didn't happen. There are elements that continued, but if it stayed along that trajectory, it probably would have been one of my favorite seasons of Doctor Who ever, hands down. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm really not afraid to say that. Yeah,
because there's an interesting debate there, Crispy. Just a quick little question. I've seen a lot of it go around on Twitter in the last couple of weeks. Which series do you prefer, Series 11 or Series 14?
Dude, that's such a loaded question. In terms of series openers...
Obviously Series 14, then, because you love Space Babies.
The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Space Babies is nothing. It is dust. It is ash. But in general, look, I don't know. I think Series 14 probably has some bigger hitters. Some episodes I'll go back to more often. But if you want a consistent series, a more consistent series, then maybe Series 11 is more consistent. But Series 14 / Season 1, I think, is a better season. I don't know.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's a tough question. Let's move on, please.
That's the good ending. We agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a call from Julia. Julia, what have you got to say about Chris Chibnall's era and whether you miss it?
No. Hi, Julia here. As you can tell, no, I'm not going to miss the Chris Chibnall era. I don't think I'm ever going to miss the Chris Chibnall era. I didn't like the way the characters developed. I didn't like the way he made the seasons. I liked some of the episodes, obviously, but overall, I just wouldn't want him to stay on for another season.
Crispy, how's that donut taste?
Delicious.
If you want more of this action, you should subscribe on YouTube. You should subscribe to the Doctor Who podcast channel.
Yes, subscribe.
And you should leave us a review on Spotify or on Apple. Apple's reviews, right? But rate us 5 stars and all of them. Crispy, have we got some reviews on Apple?
Yes, we actually do. Can you believe?
We should have opened with one of them, and we said we were going to. Whoops.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. This one is from Craig, and they've rated us 5 stars, and they say, great show. Just started this podcast. Really informative and great conversations. A must-listen for Doctor Who fans. Thank you very much, Craig.
Oh,
that's
thank
very
you,
kind.
Craig. Thank you.
That's some
I
really
agree.
nice
We are
stuff.
essential. We are. I feel important for the first time in my life.
It's essential viewing, and we are important, we swear.
We promise.
We promise. That's a Who's There promise.
And my fingers are not behind my back. Okay.
Neither.
Interesting. Yeah, I do worry we're going to get a lot of people just saying no. And I have to be honest, there is a caller right at the top of the screen, and Crispy can see it right now, whose username is no, brackets, please listen, close brackets. So I think that really will play into not having Chris Chibnall back. Should we have a look at that one, Crispy?
Yeah, okay. Let's have a listen here.
Let's see what no has to say. I think they're going to want Chris Chibnall to come back.
No. Still no. Space babies. Ooh. No. Cheers, boys, but no, I don't miss it. Big lock out.
I like your giggle there. You giggle of no. But I also love that your first set of no's was the same number of no's as in your username. 7 no's. That was consistent.
Well done. We love consistency.
Also, the giggle
here.
has 7 notes or 7 no's.
Oh my gosh, Troy.
Maybe no is the villain. Maybe no is Mrs. Flood. Shocking. All right, moving on quickly. Crispy, is there a caller that catches your eye?
Yes, let's go Mr. Scarlo. Why not?
Mr. Scarlo, give us a positive angle. Please. Come on, sir.
Do I miss Chris Chibnall's era? Frankly, yeah. You have amazing episodes like Haunting, War and Power. And I think it's more consistent in this new era. Although I don't like it, I enjoy it. But honestly, I think someone just needs to, tell Russell, you sure? Just guide him, or just help him a tiny bit to make sure, he doesn't do something too silly, especially with the finale where they could have handled it way better and then stuck the landing with the students.
There we go. We got someone who misses the Chris Chibnall.
That's interesting. That's okay. So they kind of went for more of the Russell right now, and they are asking for guidance, which I think is funny because we've been saying for ages that we think Russell, after however many series, will kind of step into more of a Kevin Feige role and be guiding other showrunners.
Yeah,
but Mr. Scarlo here is like, please, can someone else guide him?
I do think it's very interesting that you made a point, and I should say, because I just made the point a minute ago saying, has Chris Chibnall written an episode as strong as Heaven Sent or The Stolen Earth? To be fair, that doesn't then devalue the episodes of his era that he didn't either write fully or co-write on, because some of the ones are fantastic. Haunting of Villa Diodati is amazing. Village of the Angels, Fugitive of the Jadoon. There's some really, really well-written stuff there. Just because he didn't have his pen on all of it or some of it doesn't mean that it makes it bad or ruins the era. There are some standout episodes in the era. And I think there's also an important case to be made that you could say the same thing for Russell in this new season. Because for me and for you, and I think probably for a lot of people, the best episodes of season 1 are the ones the showrunner didn't write. So, there is an argument to be made there. There's a debate to be had. That's why we did this. I was hoping there wouldn't just all be no's. I was hoping we'd get some people like Mr. Scarlo. So thank you, sir.
It makes interesting discussion. I think there's just one guarantee, which is somewhat ironic given the campaign I've been doing for the past 11 years on YouTube, which is #Crispy for showrunner. I think whoever is in the showrunner seat is just automatically going to be hated. I think it just in general in the new, no matter who it is, new writer, returning, whatever, I think there will just be hate thrown towards, and there is so much pressure to deliver on this very nerdy show. So, everyone was really, really hoping for Russell to come back, and I think there have been some big swings, some big hits, some misses as well. So I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued, and I think that maybe people are a bit more nostalgic for Chibnall now because Russell's first season wasn't perfect. That's all.
Yeah, when Russell was announced, everyone was very excited, nostalgia fueling their excitement, myself included. But I don't think it was just nostalgia. I think, I've still said this before, objectively as an overall showrunner, I still think Russell is the best showrunner, even if this season didn't deliver well. But I think it's interesting purely because Chris Chibnall's era got so much vitriol and hate thrown at it that, you know, it's intriguing to see the discussion change. And part of it was inspired, as I said, by these tweet threads that being like, you know, comparing Series 11 with Season 1 or Series 14 and which one's better, which one's worse. And I did see quite a few people talking about Series 11, kind of like that Thanos meme where it's like, perhaps I treated you too harshly. Like, I was enjoying seeing that discussion. And even if I personally still think for all of its faults, I do prefer Season 1 to Series 11, Series 11 just doesn't hit for me in a lot of ways. It's just a shame, but it just doesn't. I'm still intrigued by seeing how many people are saying the opposite and how many people are encouraging that discussion, because that discussion just wasn't there in that same way a few years ago. I think it's fascinating to see the perspective change.
Yeah, most definitely. And plus, like, this is the first Russell era where kind of, you know, everyone's got a bloody Twitter account. So,
Twitter.
Bloody Twitter.
Twitter.
Which is a Chris Chibnall written line from David Tennant there.
Twitter. Okay.
Twitter.
The Mikey Who. What have you got to say about Chris Chibnall?
The Mikey
Hi
Who.
guys, my name is the Mikey Who, and this is where I'm actually going to say this. I do miss the Chris Chibnall era because it has some weird whimsical charm, but also the weird fracture of how it portrays itself. And probably this is going to be like a controversial opinion, but I think that Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor was the best option, even though that a lot of people were hating on her. I think it was just the moment where time was just so different and all, and just people were just debating if it was okay to have a female Doctor or so. But I do miss the Chibnall era, and I hope Chris Chibnall comes back to the new era and helps out on the new season and stuff.
Yeah, wow. Okay, gosh.
Wow. We started with some negativity, now we got some positivity. It's crazy.
Interesting. Wow. I don't know what it would look like if Chibnall came back, because I still have the IMDb list up here, and his highest rated episode ever is The Village of the Angels, but below that is The Power of Three with 7.5. What do you like? Do you think that's his best work?
No, I don't. Like, Power of the Doctor and Woman Who Fell to Earth exist for one thing, if we're talking solo writing, but The Power of Three, it's interesting that, isn't it? Because that episode came out when Doctor Who was more at its peak, and that was one of the weaker episodes of Series 7. It's a good episode for the character development.
7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, and I love the scene between Eleven and Amy where, you know, he's saying, I'm running to you before you fade away from me forever. Like, that whole scene, and it's playing the music from Amy and Rory's Goodbye as well. It's fantastic. But the resolution villain-wise is one of the worst resolutions ever in a Doctor Who episode. This guy, the Shakri, appears and is like, we're preparing for the Tally. The Tally is coming. The Tally is going to be a big threat. The Tally never appears. The Shakri disappears. The Doctor whizzes his sonic and everything's solved. It's a huge letdown, like, plot-wise. So the idea that IMDb would rate that episode as his best one when The Woman Who Fell to Earth and Power of the Doctor exists really plays into what you said about review bombing, because, objectively speaking, that just isn't better than either of those episodes. That's ridiculous.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, okay. Well put.
Thank you. I'm really becoming a TED talker as more and more in this podcast, I feel like, you know?
What is your favourite pre-Chibnall era Chibnall episode?
So, to establish this for everyone, those episodes are 42.
Yes.
And then it's just some Series 7 ones then, isn't it? It's just Dinosaurs and Spaceship and Power of Three?
He had a brief stint in 2010 with Cold Blood and The Hungry Earth.
Of course he did. Silly me. I really like The Hungry Earth and Cold Blood. I really like that two-parter.
As do I. I enjoy those.
So, I think I'd say that.
Yet you forgot about them.
Yeah, ironic, isn't it, really? The one I forgot was the better one. In my head, I was thinking, I was like, no, he wrote somewhere in between. I can't think of it. No, he mustn't have done. No, he did.
I'm an absolute sucker for dinosaurs on a spaceship. I'm not afraid to say that. But that was like, this is like when I was the most into Doctor Who ever. Like,
it was a bit synonymous of Chris Chibnall's writing of the Doctor, though, that he just, like, kills the bad guy. He's like, I'm just going to let you die, lol.
Yeah, it's weird that didn't... Oh, it kind of came back. They referenced it in the name of the Doctor. We've had this exact conversation. Anyway, let's keep it moving.
Have we
Yes. I remember us having this exact conversation at some point.
Well, maybe we should see if Louis J can offer some new takes to steer the conversation in a new direction.
Please.
Louis J, what do you got to say?
Do I miss the Chibnall era? No. Alright, but to be less mean, there are some good episodes when rewatching, and there's some interesting ideas that I really like. Then there's ideas that aren't really that well executed and I don't like, and then there are episodes that I don't like. This is too much of a mixed bag, I feel. But maybe this also hasn't been enough time. Give me like maybe 3 years and maybe I'll feel different.
Well, if you want to feel old, Louis, Power of the Doctor came out nearly 2 years ago, so...
Oh my gosh.
Do you feel old yet? Because I certainly do.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. It was October 2022.
Oh my... Oh, dearie me. Okay. Yeah, right.
We're different people now, Crispy, you and I.
We really are.
But that's okay. That's good. You got to keep moving, so long as you remember all the people that you used to be.
Amen.
I will not forget one line of this. Not one day.
You're very good at remembering lines. That's for sure.
Yeah. I swear.
Okay.
I will always remember when the Doctor was...
Wow. He did it, folks. He did it. Unreal.
Oh, where's the clapping? I forgot. I'm on control of the soundboard. Clapping quick before it's too late. There it is. Way clapping. Woo!
Yay.
Woo!
Yay.
Oh, all right. Okay, shut up. All right, so, Crispy, should we take another caller?
Yeah, please. Please.
I'm quite intrigued by this one here from one half of Nostalgia Bait. And judging from the email, I think this is previous podcast guest Mr. George Sheard.
Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps. We'll have to wait and see.
George, what have you got to say?
No, not really.
Thank you so much, George.
Cheers, mate. Cheers very much. He was to the point. He was to the point, man.
He was to the... We asked a question, he responded, that's all we can ask.
Exactly, that is all we can ask. We've only got a couple. Do you know what? Let's just finish off the calls. I think. There's one at the end from Philip Woods, which is 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh,
it's a long one.
Oh my gosh,
maybe we should save that till last. We may need to trim it down. We'll see. But Beast Boss and Jeremy Duncan, I think, are the only two left who've called in that we haven't played out. If I've missed your name, I'm sorry, but you know what? Let's do a clean sweep today, Crispy. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Beast Boss, what have you got to say?
My thoughts haven't changed. I still think there was bad writing. But it had some great moments, like having the best Dalek story in Resolution, and it had Tilly Steele.
This man is obsessed with Tilly Steele.
He's just a character, that Beast Boss.
I respect it. Okay, so, best Dalek story, Resolution, thoughts, Crispy?
Best Dalek story ever. No, that's Daleks Take Manhattan for sure. And the best Chibnall Dalek story would have to be Eve of the Daleks. That's my fave.
Sorry, is your actual favourite Dalek story Daleks in Manhattan?
No! Of course not!
Say, I was like, no
you
way.
Madman! No.
What is your favourite Dalek story?
Oh, I don't know. It changes all the time. If we're... it's such a silly answer, and it's not real. It's not a real answer, Troy. Don't agree with me on this. You're not going to. But I love Asylum of the Daleks, man.
I
really love it. I really love Asylum of the Daleks.
I definitely agree
much.
with that. I agree with that so much. You're so correct. You're so valid. I really respect that you're wrong. It's funny. If I asked my mum, I honestly think there's a decent chance she'd say Eve the Daleks, because she really liked that episode. She really liked it.
I got people messaging me that casually watch Doctor Who and casually kind of watch the Jodie era. I had several people message me being like, bro, last night's Doctor Who was sick. I was like, yes. Yes, it actually
Eve the Daleks
is.
was fantastic.
It actually is. My goodness gracious me. And that comes down to the problem. Here's the problem, Troy. You know why Eve of the Daleks exists? You know why Eve of the Daleks exists? Because there was there was a pandemic going on, and Chibnall was like, damn, okay, I need to think of something set entirely in one location and make it just this beautiful story. And you know who else did that really well in their era? Not because of a pandemic, but because of budgetary constraints?
Mr. Russell the Davies.
Davies, correct. Absolutely, 100 points to you, Troy. And the thing is now, with all this Disney money, no one is holding Russell back at all. You want a dog on top of the TARDIS? For sure. go for it. Do whatever you
Woof,
want.
woof.
You want one of the biggest stars in the rising stars on the planet to be Doctor Who? Go for it. Oh, we can't make 2 of the episodes? Doesn't matter. You'll write around it. In fact, that goes against the point because he actually made some creative writing decisions that some people like, some people didn't like. But what I'm saying is Russell can now do whatever the heck he wants. Is that a good thing?
Oh, you're saying that sometimes things are made better in Doctor Who when you have those limits put onto you?
Doctor Who has always been a low-budget show that has so many creative workarounds, and I'm sure that Doctor Who still doesn't nearly have the budget of your Game of Thrones, as we thought. Remember when Doctor Who was getting $10 million an episode? Remember that rumor?
Yeah, and Russell was like, by the way, that's absolute rubbish.
That's absolutely not true. Would love for that to happen. But, yeah,
$8 million of it was Shooty's paycheck.
Yeah. I don't know what point I was trying to get at there. I just think that some of Russell's best script, like we've had the midnight argument a million times on this channel, that he wrote that in like a week or something because something needed to change, and it's one of his best episodes. Some people would argue it's his best piece of work ever, and I think. I don't know. I feel like the big budget Russell is not necessarily his best work. I'm sorry to say it.
Yeah, so I mean, you're saying you're not sure your point. From the way I'm taking it is that now we've got this new era. You haven't got that element of Doctor Who anymore where, sometimes things won't go well or you won't have the budget or the requirements you need to film an episode, but it turns out that often can give you better Doctor Who. Like Eve of the Daleks, like Midnight. You don't have that with Russell's era. And that could also partially play into missing Chris Chibnall's era, because he had that. I mean, you have the positive and the negative of that. You've got Ranskor of Kolos, the finale of Series 11, which was a first draft and is an absolute... Well, travesty might be pushing it too far, but it's the weakest finale of Doctor Who history, in my opinion, modern Doctor Who.
Boring. It's a very boring episode.
But you also, as you said, have your Eve of the Daleks, where COVID restrictions made him rewrite a story really quickly in one location, and it's one of Jodie's best episodes. So you can get 2 sides of the coin. But now in the new Russell era, that coin has been put in the bin. You can't flip it.
He's thrown it away. Too much money. You can't flip a coin that's in a bin.
To be fair, they have said a couple of times there have been certain things in episodes in Doctor Who Unleashed where they've gone, we didn't quite have the budget for this, so we changed this up. But I think that's probably, from what I can tell, I think that's as far as it goes. I don't think you'll have an entire episode change because of budget. You might have visual effects or scenes change or things not show certain bits off as much. But I just don't see us having that kind of constrained episode anymore, so you're less likely to get that kind of sleeper hit in a small location, which, granted, doesn't define Doctor Who, but it was a nice part of it.
No, yeah, you're okay. I'm with you. I'm trying to figure out the point I was trying to make. I think, the sleeper hit is a really good title for this kind of discussion. Midnight and Eve of the Daleks are sleeper hits. That's so funny. Yeah. I love that. And it doesn't define what makes a Doctor Who episode. I'm just trying to say, with the added budget, no one's holding Russell back. And I think Russell works well when creatively challenged. No one is challenging him. That's the point I was trying to make. He's the big
victim
boss
of their
man.
Own success. You mean?
There we go. Yeah, that might be the case. And Chibnall, look, one thing, outside of his writing, Chibnall in general, one thing that we kind of hated at the time, but we almost have the exact opposite of now, was interviews. Like, Russell does an interview or something, or there's a clip going everywhere of Russell saying something about an episode, and people are like, oh, you kind of think a sonic screwdriver is a gun, or he said some really strange things where, I used to get really excited by seeing a Russell T Davies interview, but now I'm not really paying attention to them. But with Chibnall, he kept everything secret. He barely made an appearance, and when he did, I paid attention. So
true. Was that because you didn't hear much from him, or because what he said was exciting?
Because I didn't hear much from him.
Yeah.
Sometimes the stuff he says was not amazing, exciting at all.
It's tough. It's tough.
He had that New York Comic Con where he was like, oh, here's 2 images.
Yeah, that's one of the things, the secrecy, the 2 images of Revolution of the Daleks. Oh, my days. I remember that. Oh, my days. And one of them was just them sat at a flipping table. Oh, God. That's one thing I will tell you right now I will never miss, is the secrecy of the Chibnall era. I will never miss that. I'll never, ever miss that.
I might miss that.
Well, no, I think keeping your cards close to your chest is important, but I think the cards were so close they were in his internal organs. They were too close.
You are right. There were
the cards were protruding out of the different veins of his heart. They were way too close. But I think there's a middle ground that you could accomplish between Chibnall and RTD2. And
They're
we
quite
haven't
a
got that
literal
yet.
middle, in regards to Stephen Moffat. I don't think Stephen Moffat was as intense on the interview circuit, but he definitely wasn't hidden away.
Yeah, there weren't many John Sim moments where we were told things we wish we didn't know. Like, I feel
true.
like probably we got a decent amount. Yeah, maybe Moffat was the right. Maybe we should bring back Moffat. Sure.
Bring back Moffat. No, it's the damn curse. It's the same with the Doctor's casting, where we like get someone, and then when they're in the role, people just hate them, and then they go away. You're like, oh, I kind of miss them. And then we like called it from day one when Russell was coming back. We're like, oh, he's gonna get a lot of hate no matter what happens here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway,
There's no other show in the world like Doctor Who where fans will behave like this, is there?
We just hate the show. It's insane.
Yeah, we just do. We just do. Jeremy Duncan, do you hate Doctor Who? What's your thoughts on Chris Chibnall?
Hi, Troy. Hi, Crispy. Now, let's see. Do I miss the Chibnall era? No, because I have the Chibnall era. I can just put it on my Blu-ray player whenever I like. But seriously, no, I don't think I miss it, mainly because it was getting so heavy with returning monsters and iconography and everything near the end that I'm glad that we have this fresh new era with the focus on the mythological. Anyway, y'all have a great day.
Yeah, I love this fresh new era where they call back to a villain from 50 years ago.
Yeah. No,
that's sarcasm again, by the way.
That's an interesting, interesting point about, because Chibnall Series 11 had like nothing. You get a Fez. And then Series 12, they kind of went for it. Flux, I think, is mainly kind of like original. I mean, you obviously get the Sontarans and the Cybermen and the Daleks, which is sick. But I think maybe you're referring to Power of the Doctor, but that's kind of like an anniversary special, so I think they went heavy on intentionally. So I never really considered that, Chris Chibnall. Do you consider Chris Chibnall's era callback heavy, lore heavy?
Not personally.
It's lore heavy.
I think lore heavy in his own creations of like Time of Children and stuff, but not like lore heavy beyond that, really. Or I don't know about classic. I think you've also got to remember that Chibnall's era is the era of Doctor Who with the least amount of episodes. So if you have quite a few with returning villains, you're going to feel like there's a lot of returning stuff. When really
point.
You had how many episodes in his era? 29.
Yeah, I believe you.
I think because there was Resolution, Revolution, Eve of the Daleks, Legend of the Sea Devils, and Power. So that's 5. 5 plus 10 plus 10, 25 plus 6, 31 episodes. 31 episodes.
Well done. Well done, Troy.
You compare that, like, that's less than 3 of Russell's series, and there's Christmas specials and a series 4. Like, there's less going on in that era, even episode-wise. But I will say, the one thing no one else has said that I don't imagine anyone's going to say, the best looking cinematography-wise. I don't think Russell T Davies' new era is as good cinematography-wise. The direction and some of the camera shots are fab, but just overall cinematography, there was something about that era, the way it was shot, that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was some people really don't like the way Jodie's era was shot. And I always found that argument fascinating.
They're wrong.
There are some shots, sure, that the color grade is way off. But in regards to what they were able to do and how cinematic they made the series, I do think it is a really fantastic looking era. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. I'll miss you, Chibbers.
Yeah, I don't think I miss him right now, like wanting to come back. But I'm not glad to see the back of him. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I like what he did with Doctor Who. It wasn't my favourite, but I'm not partying. I'm not throwing a party, being like, yeah, he's gone. I'm in the middle.
I respect it. Yeah.
Right, Philip Woods, you've sent in an absolute barn burner of a 1.5 minute call, but it's a good way, I think, to wrap up. So let's see what Philip Woods has to say, shall we, Crispy?
Let's do it.
All right, Philip, what Philip would you say?
Hi, it's Phil from the YouTube show here. Just answering your question about am I missing Chris Chibnall's era so far, or after season 1? Not season 1, really, is it? It could be 3 different types of season. But anyway, the first Shooty Gatwa episodes have gone, and I've seen people moan about them a bit on social media, and everybody's entitled to their opinions. Me, well, no, not really. I'm not missing it. Some of his episodes were excellent, and I'd like to see him writing again for Doctor Who. But I am not unhappy in any way, shape, or form about the Ncuti Gatwa season that's just gone. In fact, I think a lot of it was excellent. The build-up to the finale was excellent. So was the cliffhanger, if you didn't already know what was going to happen. That was awesome for those of us who remember old Who properly, of course, and the Pyramids of Mars. But anyway, thank you very much for allowing people to come on and say hello. It's bye now. Bye-bye.
Thank you for calling in, Philip. Do you know what I think it is? He's very well-spoken and doesn't talk at a super fast speed like me. That's probably just why it was a bit longer.
Yeah. That I respect.
And I respect it. Some very interesting points. I like it. Thank you for calling in, Philip. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Philip.
We love you. Thank you. And thank everyone for calling in. We've gone through every call, Crispy. So
wow.
You know what, we got a lot of thoughts in. This is a really interesting one to get audience thoughts, because there's only so much we can say. And I'm glad to see that there's a mix of people who do and don't miss the era. Like I said, I was worried going into this that it'd be everyone going, nope. And it's like, yeah, it's funny for the odd one. Thank you, George. But like, I was hoping we'd get some people being like, yeah, I'll miss this thing, I'll miss that thing. And I'm glad that there's some people who have said things along those lines. What about you, Crispy? What are your closing comments on Chris Chibnall?
Well, do you miss Chris Chibnall? What a crazy, crazy question. I think maybe I'll agree with one of our previous callers. Ask me in a few years. I think I will look back on the Chris Chibnall era more fondly and forgive it for its many, many faults. But it's just a lot of fun. I mean, every era has its faults. I think that, in this digital age, maybe Chris Chibnall's era was, you could go on Twitter and people would be pointing out a million different things that are quote-unquote wrong with an episode. But I think, from all accounts, Chris Chibnall is an excellent dude, and he's written some of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who. So, sure, I'll say I miss him. Why not? Do you?
Somewhere in the middle. But you know what, Crispy? You are a man of the people. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Crispy Pro? That was a very eloquently argued speech. I think both of us should apply to do TED Talks, Crispy,
Yeah. I'd be down.
Here's my final question for you, Crispy.
Oh,
my question of the hour. If you were to deliver a TED Talk, what would you deliver it on?
I would...
Doesn't have to be Doctor Who.
I would deliver it on being kind to number one.
Who's number one?
Yourself.
Aww. Do you know what? What a good way to end it. What a good way to end it. Thank you all very much for listening to this episode of Who's There, a Doctor Who podcast, where we discuss If You Miss Chris Chibnall. Next time, we'll talk about something else.
Yeah, we can talk about a different Chris if you want.
Oh, what kind of Chris?
Maybe. Let me think. Evans?
Chris Topher?
No. Hemsworth?
Oh, okay. Well, no, Christopher. Columbus?
No.
Christopher. Christophers. I don't know. Who are you thinking of?
Sack Russell T Davies.
Oh yeah,
Sack
that guy.
Julie Gardner.
Who is that guy, and why was he saying sack Russell T Davies? Maybe we'll talk about that in next week's episode of Who's There, a Doctor Who podcast. Obviously, as always, assuming we don't get more news. But I don't know about you, Crispy. I'm expecting very little news.
I'm expecting very little until Christmas, and I could not be happier.
And now we've said that, there's going to be a load of news after this episode. So thank you very much for watching this episode. We'll see you all next week with more Hotline Chaos. Keep an eye out on our socials at Who's There DW on Twitter. On Instagram, we should be posting more on there, to be fair. On the YouTube community tab and in the Discord server. All the links are in the description, as we are trying to get a little bit ahead of calls. You may have noticed the calls for this one went out about a week plus ahead of time. So have a look at what the current calling topic is. Even if it's not for the next episode, you'll get to feature in one. So call in and give your thoughts on whatever we're asking for at the moment. But until then, it's goodbye from Crispy.
See you later.
And it's goodbye from me. See you all next time. Hello, Z, baby.
Hello, Z, baby.